The dust on the dead planet had not moved in 10,000 years. Scholar Threnax brushed it away with her six-fingered hand, revealing symbols carved deep into black stone. Her breathing mask fogged as she leaned closer, her team gathering around the excavation site. "What does it say?" asked her assistant, a young Velkari named Morse. Threnax ran her scanner over the symbols. The device flickered, cross-referencing against every known language in the galactic database. "It's old. Very old. This is the language of the architects." The architects had vanished 5 million years ago. They had been one of the great elder species, their technology still unmatched by modern civilization. Finding their words was like discovering a message from gods. The translation appeared on her screen. Threnax read it once, then again, certain she had made a mistake. "Whatever you do, do not anger the humans." Morse laughed. "Humans? Those little creatures from the edge of the galaxy? The ones who just joined the galactic community last year?" Threnax did not laugh. She had studied the elder species her entire life. The architects did not leave jokes carved in stone. She expanded the scan, and her scales went pale. The warning was everywhere, carved into every wall, every pillar, every surface of the ancient city. Thousands of repetitions of the same message. "Do not provoke the humans. Leave the humans in peace. The humans must not be threatened. If you value your species, do not make the humans angry." Over the next 3 weeks, Threnax found 17 more sites on the dead world. Each one contained the same warning, written in different ancient languages. She recognized the script of the progenitors, the Harmony Collective, the Star Weavers, all extinct, all gone for millions of years, all warning about humans. Back on the Velkari homeworld, Threnax presented her findings to the High Council. The chamber was vast, filled with the Empire's most powerful leaders. They sat on raised platforms, looking down at her with barely concealed amusement. "You bring us ghost stories, scholar," said High Commander Vex Thor, his crest flaring with dismissal. "We have met these humans. They are weak. Their ships are slow. Their weapons are simple. They have no great fleet, no mighty armies. They smile and talk about peace and friendship like children." "But the warnings were written by cowards," Vex Thor interrupted. "Or they refer to some other species that happen to use the same name. The galaxy is old, scholar. Perhaps there were other humans long ago who were dangerous. These modern humans are not them." Threnax tried again. "Every elder species left the same message. Species separated by millions of years and millions of light years. How could they all— Enough." The High Commander stood. "The Velkari Empire does not cower before myths. We are the future of this galaxy. If anything, these primitive humans should fear us." The council dismissed her. Threnax left the chamber, her hands shaking with frustration. No one would listen. They saw the humans as the galaxy saw them, pleasant, harmless, almost cute in their eagerness to make friends. She had met Ambassador Sarah Chen once at a diplomatic function. The human woman had been small, soft-looking, with no natural weapons. She had talked about Earth's art and music, about humanity's hopes for the future. She had seemed genuinely kind. But Threnax could not shake the feeling that she was missing something important. She returned to her research, digging deeper. She found a data cache on an asteroid, hidden in a quantum lock that should have been impossible for ancient species to create. Inside were more warnings, but also fragments of something else. Records that made no sense. Star charts showing human settlements that predated Earth's space age by 10,000 years. References to the Sleeping and the Guardians. A partial message that read, "They chose to forget. Pray they never remember." In the Galactic Forum, humanity continued its charm offensive. Ambassador Chen spoke eloquently about cooperation and mutual benefit. Other species found humans delightful. They were curious about everything, eager to learn, quick to laugh. They brought new foods, new music, new ideas. Children across the galaxy played with human toys and watched human entertainment. The Velkari Empire watched all this with growing contempt. To them, human friendliness looked like weakness. Human peaceful nature looked like cowardice. "We should test them," Vexthor said in a private council meeting. "See what these humans do when pushed. If they are truly as harmless as they appear, we can expand into their territory. Those colony worlds they are settling would serve the Empire better." Some council members hesitated, remembering Threnax's warnings. But the High Commander was persuasive. The humans had 3 colony ships traveling to a new world, moving slowly through space that the Velkari claimed as their own buffer zone. It would be simple to intercept them. A minor incident. A test. Threnax learned of the plan too late. She raced to the council chamber, her research files clutched in her hands, but the fleet had already been dispatched. 3 human colony ships, carrying 2,000 people total, mostly families seeking new homes. They were unarmed, protected only by 2 small escort vessels. When the Velkari fleet surrounded them, the humans sent a distress signal and tried to negotiate. The Velkari commanders followed their orders. They fired on the escorts first, destroying them quickly. Then they boarded the colony ships. The humans inside resisted with small arms, desperate to protect their children. It made no difference. When it was over, 700 humans were dead. The survivors were taken prisoner. The colony ships were claimed as Velkari property. The galaxy was shocked. The Galactic Forum called emergency sessions, but the Velkari presented their case. The humans had violated their space, refused to leave when warned, fired first. All lies, but backed by falsified data. Ambassador Sarah Chen appeared before the forum. Threnax watched from the gallery, expecting anger, threats, tears. Instead, Chen was calm. Too calm. Her eyes were different somehow. Older. "Return our people," Chen said quietly. "You have 1 week." The Velkari representative laughed. "Or what, little human? Will you declare war? Your fleet is nothing compared to ours. You cannot possibly—" "1 week," Chen repeated. She did not raise her voice. She did not need to. Something in her tone made Threnax's blood run cold. She had heard that tone before, in ancient audio files recovered from dead worlds. The last broadcasts of the elder species before they vanished. They had all sounded afraid. The Galactic Forum erupted in debate, but Chen simply left. She did not argue or plead. She had delivered her message. The Velkari celebrated their dominance. They refused the demand, of course. They increased security at their borders and prepared for what they assumed would be a pathetic human military response. Threnax went home and began packing her belongings. She booked passage off the homeworld, heading to the most remote research station she could find. 7 days, she thought. Whatever happens, I don't want to be here when the week ends. In space, on a vessel that had been drifting dark and silent for 5 million years, something began to wake up. Day 1 passed quietly. The Velkari High Command monitored their borders, watching for human fleet movements. They detected nothing unusual. A few human diplomatic vessels recalled to Earth, but no military buildup, no threats, nothing. Threnax reached the remote research station on day 2. It orbited a gas giant far from any inhabited worlds. She had colleagues there, scientists who valued knowledge over politics. She told them what she had learned, showed them her research. "Look at the timeline," she said, projecting a holographic display. "The architects disappeared 5.2 million years ago. They left warnings about humans. But the progenitors vanished 8 million years ago. They also warned about humans." The Harmony Collective existed 15 million years before that, and their final messages mention the same thing. Her colleague, an old researcher named Keth, studied the data with his multiple eyes. That makes no sense. Earth records show humans only achieved space travel 200 years ago. How could species from millions of years ago know about them? I don't know. But look at this. Threnax brought up more files, data she had decoded from the quantum cache. I found references to previous human civilizations. Star maps showing human colonies from 10,000 years ago, 50,000, even older. There are gaps in the records, like someone erased huge chunks of history. Or like humanity has been here before, Keth said slowly, rising and falling, over and over. Exactly. But it's more than that. Threnax showed him spectral analysis from various dead worlds. These planets were destroyed by weapons that don't match any known technology. But the energy signatures, I ran them through every database. The only match is human neural patterns. These weapons were controlled by human minds. On day 3, Threnax made another discovery. Hidden in the Sol system itself, humanity's home system, were anomalies. Structures that should not exist, hidden in asteroid fields and around the outer planets. They were old, incredibly old, but still powered, still waiting. Those are weapon platforms, Keth said, his voice shaking. Each one could destroy a planet. Why would humans build such things and then forget about them? Unless they didn't forget, Threnax said. Unless they chose to pretend they forgot. Back on the Velkari homeworld, the High Commander grew impatient with the waiting. 4 days and nothing. The humans are weak. They talk but cannot act. We should press our advantage, take more of their territory. Some of his advisors urged caution. Strange reports were coming in from their deep space monitoring stations. Ships were moving in the dark between stars, ships that did not match any known configuration. When the Velkari sent scouts to investigate, the scouts found nothing. But their instruments showed brief readings of massive power sources, there and then gone. Sensor ghosts, Vexthor said. Equipment malfunctions. Do not let fear make you imagine threats that don't exist. But the reports kept coming. On day 5, a Velkari border patrol encountered something. They could not describe it properly in their transmissions. A ship, they said, but wrong. Old. It did not move like ships should move. It simply appeared, watched them for 17 seconds, and then vanished. The patrol commander's report was classified immediately. The High Commander did not want panic spreading through the fleet. Threnax found more data, this time from her own people's history. Records from when the Velkari first achieved spaceflight, 3,000 years ago. In the ancient files, there were mentions of abandoned human outposts found on distant worlds. The records noted that the technology was far beyond anything the Velkari could understand at the time. But the outposts were empty and silent. The Velkari had assumed they were from some long-dead civilization and had studied them, learned from them. Some of the Velkari's own technology was based on reverse engineering those human ruins. We built our empire on their leftovers, Threnax whispered, and we didn't even know it. On day 6, Ambassador Chen appeared again at the Galactic Forum. The other species had been trying to mediate, to find a peaceful solution. Some had pressured the Velkari to release the prisoners and apologize. But Vexithor refused. He would not show weakness to humans or anyone else. Chen stood before the assembled representatives. She looked tired, human tired, with dark circles under her eyes and slumped shoulders. But her voice was steady. "Tomorrow is the 7th day," she said. "I have tried to contact the Velkari High Command. They will not speak with me. So I am speaking to all of you now. I am begging the Velkari to reconsider. Please. Return our people. Issue whatever demands you want. Take whatever territory you claim is yours, but please, give us back our children." It was the first time she had seemed truly human, vulnerable, afraid. The Velkari representative stood. "The great humans, begging now, your week is nearly over. What will you do? Where is your fleet? Where are your threats?" Chen looked at him for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was barely a whisper, but everyone heard it clearly. "I am trying to save you. All of you. If you return our people now, we can forget this happened. Please, I don't want to remember." "Remember what?" Chen did not answer. She just left the chamber, walking slowly, like someone going to a funeral. On the research station, Threnax worked through the night, piecing together fragments of data from a dozen extinct civilizations. A pattern emerged, terrible and clear. Every species that had achieved advanced technology had eventually encountered humans. At first, humans seemed normal, friendly, weak even. But then something would happen. A provocation, an attack, and the humans would change. The architects had tried to conquer human worlds. They vanished 3 weeks later. All of them, everywhere in the galaxy. Not killed, the record suggested. Just gone. Their last transmissions spoke of humans who knew things they should not know, who commanded technologies that should not exist. The progenitors had enslaved a human colony. They disappeared even faster. Their final message, carved into a monument that still drifted in space, read, "They made us understand, the pain, all of it. We cannot bear it. Forgive us." The Harmony Collective had killed human children during a territorial dispute. They left behind one last broadcast. "They are not warriors, they are teachers, and their lesson is terrible." Every extinct species had the same story. They hurt humans. Humans responded. The species realized too late what humans actually were. Then they were gone. Threnax sent her findings to everyone she could. The Galactic Forum, news organizations, independent researchers. Most ignored her. Some called her paranoid. The Velkari government declared her a traitor and issued an arrest warrant. But a few listened. A few species began quietly evacuating their citizens from worlds near Velkari space. A few governments started reviewing their treaties with humanity, looking for clauses they might have missed, implications they had not understood. On day 7, Threnax sat at her console, watching the countdown. The Velkari homeworld spun peacefully below, home to 15 billion souls. The border fleet of 2,000 warships maintained their positions, confident and ready. Ambassador Sarah Chen's week was up. For the first few hours, nothing happened. The Velkari command relaxed slightly. The humans had been bluffing. They had no power to back up their demands. Then, at exactly noon, Velkari Standard Time, the border fleet stopped transmitting. All of it. 2,000 ships, 50 space stations, 3 orbital defense platforms. Everything went silent at the same instant. The High Command sent inquiry signals. No response. They sent scout ships to investigate. The scouts found nothing. Empty space where the fleet had been. No wreckage, no debris, no energy signatures, no sign that 2,000 warships had ever existed. The fleet was simply gone. Panic began to spread through the Velkari military. How do you fight an enemy that can erase your forces without a trace? Then the reports started coming in from across Velkari space. Ships appearing in orbit around their colonies. Ships that did not match any database. Ancient vessels covered in symbols that hurt to look at, moving in ways that violated physics. And from each ship, the same message, broadcast in Ambassador Chen's voice, but wrong, colder, older. As if something ancient was wearing her words like a mask. The Velkari homeworld had been the center of the empire for 3,000 years. Its cities stretched across 3 continents, gleaming towers of metal and light. Billions of citizens went about their lives, confident in their military strength, secure in their dominance. That security shattered in a single moment. High Commander Vexathor stood in the command center, staring at displays that showed impossible things. Human vessels, if they could even be called that, had appeared in orbit. Not arrived, not jumped in through hyperspace, just appeared, as if they had always been there and everyone had simply failed to notice until now. "How many?" he demanded. "One ship, Commander," his tactical officer said, her voice shaking. "Just one." Vexthor looked at the main display. The ship was massive, easily 10 times larger than the biggest Velkari dreadnought. Its hull was dark, covered in symbols that seemed to shift when you looked at them directly. It made no threatening moves. It just hung there, silent. "Launch the defense fleet! Destroy it! Sir, perhaps we should launch everything!" 3,000 ships rose from the homeworld and its orbital stations. The pride of the Velkari military, armed with weapons that could crack planets. They formed attack formations and accelerated toward the human ship. The human vessel did not move. It did not raise shields. It did not power weapons. The Velkari fleet fired. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds. Enough firepower to destroy a moon. Every shot stopped 10 kilometers from the human ship. The missiles simply stopped moving and hung in space. The energy beams bent away, flowing around the ship like water around a stone. The kinetic rounds hit something invisible and dropped velocity to 0. Then the Velkari ships began to die. Not explode. Not get destroyed. They just stopped working. Power cores that had been running for decades simply shut off. Life support systems failed. Weapons went dead. Ship after ship went dark, their crews suddenly drifting in unpowered metal coffins. In the command center, Vexthor watched his fleet die without a shot being fired. "What is it doing? What weapon is that?" "No weapon signature detected, sir. No energy discharge at all. The ships are just stopping." A technician spoke up, his voice barely audible. "Sir, I think I understand. Our technology, all of it, runs on principles we learned from studying old ruins, human ruins. I think our technology only works because something allows it to work." The implication hit Vexthor like a physical blow. Every Velkari ship, every station, every piece of advanced technology they had developed over 3,000 years, all of it was based on reverse-engineered human technology from ancient times. And now, humanity was simply turning it off. "Sir, the human ship is broadcasting." On screen. The face that appeared was not Ambassador Chen, though it wore her features. The eyes were different, ancient, filled with a sadness that seemed to have no bottom. "People of the Velkari Empire," the figure said, "I am what remains of humanity's memory. We are the guardians, those who never slept, who kept watch while our brothers and sisters tried to forget what we were. You have forced us to act." "This is our space," Vexthor shouted at the screen. "You have no right." "We have every right," the Guardian interrupted. "This galaxy was old when your species was still learning to make fire. We were here. We have always been here. We built the ruins you studied. We left the warnings your people ignored. We seeded this galaxy with technology, hoping younger species would use it to build something better than what we had." More human ships appeared throughout Velkari space, dozens of them, hundreds. They materialized above every colony world, every major city, every military installation. Not attacking, just watching. On the research station, Threnax watched the broadcasts with growing horror. She had been right. Worse, she had not been right enough. Humanity was not just old. They were the foundation upon which galactic civilization was built. The Guardian continued speaking. "We gave you gifts, knowledge, tools. We hoped you would use them wisely. We hoped you would learn from the mistakes we made, the horrors we committed when we were young, and thought power justified cruelty." "What do you want?" Vexthor asked, and for the first time there was fear in his voice. We want our children back, the ones you took, the ones you killed. But we cannot have them back, can we? 700 lives ended because you wanted to test us, to see if we were weak. The Guardian's face showed no anger. That would have been easier to bear. Instead, there was only sorrow, deep, ancient sorrow. We learned long ago that killing those who wrong us changes nothing. Death is too easy, too quick. It does not teach. It does not help anyone grow. So we found a different way. What way? Vexthor whispered. Understanding. The word echoed through the command center. Then every Velkari on the homeworld felt something impossible. They felt what the human colonists had felt. Not watching it, not hearing about it, feeling it. 700 deaths spread across 15 billion minds. The fear of parents trying to protect their children. The confusion of children who did not understand why the soldiers were hurting them. The pain. The terror. The moment of death repeated 700 times. It lasted only minutes. To the Velkari, it felt like hours, days, an eternity of suffering compressed into a few moments of perfect, terrible understanding. When it ended, the Velkari were changed. Some sobbed, some screamed, some simply stood in shocked silence, unable to process what they had experienced. High Commander Vexthor fell to his knees, shaking. "We did that," he whispered. "We ordered that." "I ordered that!" The Guardian's voice was gentle, almost kind. "Yes, you did. And now you know what it meant. This is not punishment. This is education. We do not want you to die for what you have done. We want you to understand it, to carry it, to be better." Across Velkari space, similar scenes played out. Every citizen old enough to understand, every soldier, every politician, all of them sharing in the empathy forced upon them. Not just for the humans who died, but for all suffering. They suddenly understood, in a way they never had before, what pain really meant. The Guardian continued, "Your people will recover. They will live. But they will remember this day. They will remember what it feels like to be the victim of casual cruelty. Perhaps that memory will make them kinder. If not, we will teach them again." "Please," Vexthor said. "Please, no more. Return our people, the survivors. Return them now, and we will leave. Continue as you were, but know this. We are always watching. We are always waiting. And if you or any species ever threatens our children again, we will remind you of this lesson." Within an hour, every captured human was returned, treated with care, their injuries healed by Velkari medics, who now wept as they worked. The colony ships were given supplies and escort to safe territory. The human vessels began to vanish, one by one, returning to whatever hidden places they had come from. But one ship remained above the Velkari homeworld for 3 more days. A reminder, a warning, a promise. When it finally left, the Velkari began the long process of rebuilding. Not their cities or their ships, those were undamaged, but their society, their understanding of their place in the galaxy. Threnax received a message during those 3 days. It came from Ambassador Sarah Chen, the real one, the mortal human who had tried so hard to prevent all of this. "I'm sorry you had to see that," the message said. "I'm sorry any of us had to. The Guardians do what they think is necessary, the rest of us, the sleepers. We just wanted to be normal, to be friends with everyone. I hope someday you can forgive us for what we are." Threnax sent a reply. "There is nothing to forgive. You tried to warn us. We should have listened." But she wondered, as she sent those words, whether humanity would ever truly be able to forget what they were. And whether the galaxy would ever again see them as anything but what they had revealed themselves to be: ancient, powerful, patient. The Galactic Forum met in emergency session. Representatives from 200 species gathered, though many attended remotely, afraid to leave their homeworlds. The chamber that had once buzzed with casual conversation now sat in nervous silence. Ambassador Sarah Chen walked to the speaker's platform. She looked small under the vast dome, a single human among giants and strangers. But no one looked away from her. Everyone remembered the ships. Everyone remembered what humanity had revealed itself to be. "I owe you all an explanation," Chen began. Her voice was steady but tired. "The truth is, I didn't know. Most humans don't know. We're taught that we're young, that we only reached space 200 years ago. That was true in a way. We did reach space 200 years ago. For the fourth time." Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Chen waited for them to quiet. "Humanity is old, millions of years old. We've risen to power before, built empires before, done terrible things before. Each time we destroyed ourselves, not from war, from shame, from the weight of what we had become." She touched a control, and a hologram appeared behind her. It showed Earth through different ages, cities that rose and fell, technologies that bloomed and faded, a civilization cycling through birth and death over and over. The Guardians are humans who chose to remember, to never forget our sins, our mistakes, our capacity for cruelty. They hide in the dark places between stars and watch. The rest of us, billions of humans across our colonies, we're sleepers. We chose to forget. Every few million years we lock away our knowledge, our power, and start over as primitives. "Why?" asked the Threll representative, a being of crystalline thought. "Why would any species choose such a thing?" Chen smiled sadly. "Because we were monsters. Because every time we gained power, we used it to hurt others, to conquer, to enslave, to experiment on lesser species like they were toys. We tried everything to change our nature, laws, philosophy, religion. Nothing worked. So we decided to try the hardest thing, forgetting who we were and seeing if we could become something better." "And did you?" the Threll asked. "I don't know. We were trying. We were genuinely trying to be peaceful, to be friends. And then..." Chen's voice broke slightly. "And then someone hurt our children, and the Guardians woke us up, forced us to remember. Now every human alive knows what we are, what we've always been." A new figure materialized on the platform beside Chen. One of the Guardians, tall and ancient-looking despite being physically human. Its eyes held the weight of eons. "I am called Keeper," it said. Its voice resonated in ways that made the chamber's walls hum. "I am 500,000 years old. I have watched civilizations rise and fall. I have seen humanity destroy and create, burn and build. I have waited, hoping each time we slept that we would wake up better." Keeper looked around the chamber, meeting the eyes of species from across the galaxy. "You all benefited from our gifts. Every species here uses technology based on principles we left behind. FTL travel, energy generation, medical technology. We gave freely, hoping you would build a galaxy worth living in. And we failed you," said the Velkari representative. Not Vexthor. He had resigned in shame. The new representative was young, still haunted by what her people had experienced. "We took your gifts and used them to hurt you." "Not just you," Keeper said. 3 other species have attacked human settlements in the past century. Small incidents, a few deaths each time. The sleepers never reported them, choosing to handle things through diplomacy. We Guardians allowed this. We wanted to give humanity a chance to solve problems peacefully. "What happened to those other species?" someone asked. "Nothing. Because the attacks stopped, and the sleepers chose mercy. But when the Velkari killed 700 colonists, including 200 children, we could no longer stay hidden. The pain was too great. Too many sleepers were crying out, demanding justice. We had to act." Keeper paused, and something like regret crossed its ancient face. We did not want to. Every time we emerge, we remind humanity of what they are. And once they know, they cannot unknow it. Sarah Chen spoke again. Right now, there are debates happening across all human worlds. Some want to stay awake. They say we can't risk letting this happen again, that we need to remain as guardians of the galaxy. Others want another reset, to lock away the memories and try again. They say that living as monsters, even justified monsters, is worse than dying as fools. What will you choose? The Threll representative asked. We don't know yet. That's why I'm here. We want you to understand what's happening. If humanity chooses to stay awake, to keep our full power and knowledge, the galaxy changes. We become what the elder species were to you, myths made real. Gods, maybe. We don't want that, Keeper added. But if we sleep again, we become vulnerable, and some species might see that vulnerability as an opportunity. We cannot sleep if doing so means our children will be hunted. Threnax, who had been allowed to attend as an expert witness, stood from her seat. May I speak? Chen nodded. I have studied the elder species my entire life, Threnax said. I found your warnings. I tried to make my people listen. What you showed the Velkari was terrible, but it was not destruction. You made them understand. You forced empathy. That is a power I have never seen any species wield before. She approached the platform, her hands clasped in the Velkari gesture of sincerity. My people are changed. In 3 days, violent crime on our homeworld dropped to almost nothing. Not from fear, we have already forgotten how to be afraid in that immediate way. But because we now understand suffering in a way we never did before, we cannot hurt others because we truly know what it feels like. Is that not a violation? Asked another representative. Forcing thoughts into minds without consent? Keeper answered. Yes, it is. We violated the Velkari's mental autonomy. We reached into their minds and made them feel things they did not choose to feel. It is perhaps the greatest power we have, and the one we hate using most. Because it makes you no different from the conquerors you once were, the Threll representative said quietly. Exactly, Keeper replied. We can make any species understand anything. We can reshape thoughts, alter perceptions, force empathy or terror or joy. We used this power to enslave entire civilizations once. Now we use it only to teach. But teaching by force is still force. Sarah Chen wiped her eyes. This is why we want to forget again. Because having this power means constantly choosing not to use it. And that choice gets harder every day. There are human sleepers right now demanding we force peace across the galaxy, make every species understand each other so perfectly that war becomes impossible. Could you do that? Someone asked. Yes, Keeper said simply. We could reach into every mind in the galaxy and make you all understand each other. Make you feel what others feel, know what others know. We could create perfect empathy across all species. But it would be slavery, Chen said. Beautiful, peaceful slavery, where everyone is too busy feeling everyone else's feelings to have thoughts of their own. We did this once, 5 million years ago. The Harmony Collective wasn't a species we destroyed. It was a species we tried to help by forcing them to empathize with each other. We broke them. They stopped being individuals and became one massive suffering consciousness that eventually chose to die rather than continue existing. The chamber sat in horrified silence. So you see our dilemma, Chen continued. Stay awake and risk becoming tyrants, no matter how benevolent we try to be. Or sleep and risk being attacked again, forcing the Guardians to wake us, to remind us of our power, starting the cycle over. Threnax spoke again. Then perhaps the solution is not yours alone to decide. You gave us technology. You left us warnings. Let us give you something in return. What could you possibly give us? Keeper asked, not unkindly. A promise, a real one, backed by every species here. Threnax looked around the chamber. Let humanity sleep. Let them try again to be peaceful, and we will protect them. We will make it known across the galaxy that anyone who harms humans will face not just the Guardians, but all of us. Let humanity's friends defend humanity, so the Guardians can rest." The chamber erupted in debate. Some species agreed immediately. Others hesitated, worried about committing to defend a species so powerful. But slowly, a consensus formed. The Threll representative stood. "My people will agree. We will defend humanity's sleepers." One by one, species added their voices. Not all of them. Some abstained, too afraid or too proud. But enough agreed. Enough promised. Sarah Chen looked at Keeper. The ancient guardian's expression was unreadable. "It will not be enough," Keeper said quietly. "Eventually, someone will test it. Someone always does. And then we will have to wake them again, and the cycle will continue." "Maybe," Chen said. "But maybe this time is different. Maybe this time, having friends will help us stay peaceful. Maybe we can break the cycle." The decision took 6 months. 6 months of humanity debating, arguing, pleading with each other. Sarah Chen traveled to every major human world, talking with people who had just discovered they were part of something ancient and terrible. On Earth, she met with children who were frightened of what they might become. On Mars Colony, she spoke with engineers who wanted to keep their knowledge, to use it to build wonders. On Kepler Station, she held the hands of parents who had lost children to the Velkari attack and asked them what justice looked like. The Guardians held their own councils in the dark places between stars. Ships that had not moved in millions of years drifted together, and beings older than most civilizations debated in languages that had no words, only pure meaning transmitted mind to mind. Keeper met with Chen one final time before humanity's vote. They stood in a garden on Earth, beneath trees that humanity had carried from world to world through all their cycles of death and rebirth. "The sleepers will vote to forget again," Keeper said. It was not a question. "Yes," Chen replied. 93% want another reset. They don't want this power. They don't want to be gods or tyrants or teachers. They just want to live." "And you?" Chen looked at her hands. Mortal hands, soft and small, nothing special about them. "I want to forget that I ever knew how to reach into someone's mind and make them feel pain. I want to forget that I have the power to erase civilizations. I want to go back to 3 months ago when I thought we were just a young species trying our best." "You cannot go back," Keeper said gently. "Even if we lock the memories away, part of you will always know. Every sleeper who was forced to wake, every human who felt the weight of what we are, they will carry a shadow of it forever. The forgetting is never complete. I know, but I'd rather carry a shadow than live in the full light of this knowledge. Keeper, you Guardians have watched for so long. Has it been worth it? All the waiting, all the loneliness?" The ancient being considered the question. "I don't know. We have prevented atrocities. We have taught harsh lessons. But we have not changed the fundamental nature of the galaxy. Species still hurt each other. They still make the same mistakes. And humanity still cannot escape what it is." "Then why do you continue?" "Because someone must. Because if we all forget, if all of humanity sleeps and none remain to watch, then who will stop us if we wake up wrong? Who will remind us of our lessons if we choose cruelty again?" Chen nodded slowly. "That's why some Guardians will remain, isn't it? Not all of you will sleep this time. 100 of us will stay awake, hidden, watching, just enough to act if needed, but few enough that we cannot become rulers by accident. The rest of us, 3,000 Guardians, we will finally sleep. We will lock away memories that span millions of years and try to experience youth again. Will it work? I hope so. I am tired, Ambassador Chen. I am so very tired of remembering horrors, even the horrors we committed with good intentions, especially those." The vote came. Humanity chose sleep, chose forgetting, chose to try once more to be innocent. The process took another month. Guardians returned to hidden facilities across human space. Ancient structures buried in moons and asteroids, built so long ago that even the Guardians barely remembered constructing them. Inside these facilities, the knowledge and power of humanity would be locked away once more. The ships vanished one by one, returning to their hiding places. Technology that bent physics returned to storage. Weapons that could reshape reality were put to sleep. And the memories began to fade. Threnax watched from the research station as the last Guardian ship disappeared from sensors. She had been documenting everything, creating a record of what had happened. The Velkari government had asked her to. They wanted to remember, even if humanity chose to forget. She sent one final message to Sarah Chen before the human ambassador entered her own forgetting. Thank you for trying. Thank you for showing us mercy when you could have shown us extinction. I hope you find peace in your next dream. The response came hours later, already slightly confused, as if Chen could not quite remember why she was responding. Dream? Oh, yes. I had strange dreams recently about being old, about knowing terrible things, but they're fading now. That's good. I prefer being young. Take care, friend. Maybe we'll meet again when I've forgotten everything. And then, silence. Across human space, the sleepers slept. Not literal sleep, but a forgetting. Parents forgot they had once held the power to destroy planets with thought. Children forgot they were part of a species older than stars. Scientists forgot the principles that would let them reshape reality. Gradually, carefully, humanity returned to what they had been 6 months ago. Young, curious, hopeful. But in the dark places, 100 Guardians remained. Keeper was one of them. It sat in a ship that drifted between galaxies, watching, waiting, hoping it would never be needed again. The galaxy continued. The Velkari rebuilt their empire, but different now, gentler. Their laws changed to reflect their new understanding of suffering. Other species watched and learned. The warnings left by elder species became required study for all diplomatic personnel. Whatever you do not anger the humans became not a threat, but a reminder. Be kind, be just, because someone is always watching, someone always remembers. And understanding, when it is forced upon you, is heavier than any punishment. 10,000 years passed. A new species achieved spaceflight. They were ambitious, aggressive, eager to make their mark on the galaxy. They found human colonies, saw how peaceful the humans were, how their ships were slow and their weapons simple. These humans seem weak, their emperor said. Perhaps we should test them. See if they will fight or flee. An old Velkari diplomat was present at that meeting. Her name was not Threnax, but she was a descendant, carrying the memories her ancestor had recorded. She stood and spoke with urgency. Do not. I beg you. Do not. My people made that mistake once. Let me tell you what we learned. She told them the story, about warnings carved in stone, about ships that appeared from nowhere, about punishment that came not as death, but as understanding. The young species listened with skepticism, but something in the old Velkari's eyes made them pause. If these humans are so powerful, the Emperor asked, why do they act weak? Why not rule the galaxy? Because they're trying to be better than they are, the Velkari said. Because they've chosen kindness over dominance, even though dominance would be easier. And if you force them to remember what they truly are, they will teach you why they made that choice. The lesson is not gentle. The young species debated. Some wanted to test the humans anyway, but enough listened to the old warnings. Enough chose caution. The Emperor ultimately decided to leave humanity alone. Perhaps we will test them someday, he said, but not today. The Velkari diplomat reported this to her government. Her government sent a message to coordinates they had kept secret for 10,000 years. Coordinates where nothing seemed to exist, where space was empty and dark. Another species considered attacking humans. We convinced them not to. But they are not the last who will think humans are weak. Perhaps the Guardians should show themselves sometimes, just to remind the galaxy. The response came 3 days later. A single word. No. And then, if we show ourselves, we become rulers. Even if we don't want to. Even if we claim we won't. Let them forget what we are. Let humanity's friends protect them. That is the only way we might finally become the peaceful species we pretend to be. The message ended with something that might have been hope or might have been sorrow. But keep watching. Keep warning. Because you're right. Someone will always test us, and when they do, we will still be here, still waiting, still hoping we won't be needed. Still failing to believe it. Keeper sat in the dark and watched stars die and be born. It had seen this pattern before. Peace, then provocation, then punishment, then peace again. The cycle seemed eternal. But this time, the gap between provocations had been longer. 10,000 years of peace. That was a new record. Maybe, Keeper thought, maybe this time would be different. Maybe humanity's friends really could protect them. Maybe the sleepers could stay asleep. Maybe they could finally break the cycle. Keeper allowed itself something it had not felt in a long time, hope. But it did not stop watching. It never stopped watching. Because somewhere in the galaxy, despite all the warnings, despite all the lessons, someone was looking at peaceful human colonies and thinking they seemed weak, thinking they would be easy targets. Thinking that old stories were just stories, and when that someone acted on those thoughts, when they hurt humanity's children, the Guardians would wake the sleepers again, would force them to remember, would teach another harsh lesson about the cost of cruelty. The cycle would continue. Unless this time was different. Unless this time humanity's friends were enough. Unless this time the galaxy had finally learned. Keeper watched and waited and hoped. In the light, humanity dreamed of peace. In the darkness, the Guardians kept watch. And across the galaxy, carved in stone and written in light and burned into the memories of every elder species, the warning remained. Whatever you do, don't anger the humans. Not because they will destroy you, but because they will make you understand. And understanding is the heaviest weight any soul can bear. Maybe, Keeper agreed, but it did not sound convinced, and utterly, terrifyingly kind. You killed our children. You had 1 week. That time has passed.